Britain, how are you doing? Good to be back. Woo! Let me introduce the band. On lead guitar, Annika Rice. And on sax, Bill Bailey. And Sean Locke on drums. And Alan Davis on the buses. Alan is the conductor, of course. Right, there are only two rules. I give points for attitude and I take points away for platitude. So let's get straight down to business. Question 1. Does the Pope eat beaver? Sean Locke.
I would say yes.
The Pope does eat beaver?
Yeah, because he's a Pope. He can have whatever he wants.
He can have whatever he wants, but can he, as a good Catholic, have whatever he wants, for example, on a Friday in Lent? Yes.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you want to do it again, do it again. Thank you. Oh.
This is like the early learning centre.
Well, wasn't there a plan a few years ago to reintroduce beaver into Scotland?
I didn't hear about it.
No, but the Pope ate it.
Yeah, but it's said to taste rather like beef, actually.
Yeah.
They really are like little people's arms.
They are. I think that is a person. That's the Pope, there.
His hand. Oh, I see, the one on the right.
Oh, you mean those little ones? No, you're right, his front paws.
Look at his hand, they are like little hands.
They are, yeah.
But
Yes.
they,
That's what the Pope's thinking. He's actually looking and going, yes, he's got little hands.
they've asked him, they say, are you ready to order? And he's going, shall I have beaver?
Here we are. I mentioned Friday in Lent. What do Catholics not eat on Fridays in Lent?
Meat.
Meat. Flesh, as in animal flesh that isn't
They have
fish. They eat fish. Yeah, and the Roman Catholic Church has designated beaver as a fish because it is scaly and lives in water.
So, at all these little schools, primary schools all over Italy, they have beaver and chips and peas on a Friday?
Probably more likely in American Catholic countries.
Well,
the capybara, which is the largest rodent on Earth,
yes,
which is a South American rodent, 400 tons of it are eaten during Lent in Venezuela alone. Capybaras are likewise designated to be a fish. The Pope would, if he were to eat, he would probably eat them on a Friday in Lent, as he might a capybara. How would you suppose you might tell the sex
They're
of
only male.
one beaver from another?
A male would have a
No,
penis.
they have males and females. Well, yes, but it's quite hard
And
to
the female
spot.
would have a beaver.
Yes.
A kind of a beaver's beaver.
I want to talk about anal excretions.
Now, I was just about to...
Please let
I
me
was
talk
about to bring
yes.
that point up because
Yeah.
in the anal scent glands
Yes.
of the beaver has secreted a substance which
Yes.
is actually found in aspirin.
You're absolutely right. I'm going to give you 5 points for that. It's correct. It's called
Thank you very much.
Castorium. It's been used as a medicine for hundreds of years. It's called Castorium.
Castorium.
As in Castor the beaver. And it contains salicylic acid, as you rightly say.
If you've got a headache, you rimming a
Lick
beaver.
out a beaver.
Beaver dart.
That's quite right. But so often, unfortunately, the beaver's got a headache anyway and won't let you do it. So they have to do it to themselves
There's got to be a plus side to rimming a beaver, isn't there?
Not tonight, darling, I've got a headache. Don't worry about that.
My next question is, if aliens arrived on Earth to abduct our most successful inhabitant, where would they look?
Neverland. Are they aliens?
I think that's a
How the hell did
popular
you
idea.
get a shot of them?
I just...
Is that an alien boy
It's
band?
Hubble for you. Alien boy band.
Like alien YMCA.
They would look and see which was the most successful form of life.
Cockroaches.
On Earth.
Are you talking about the amount of awards?
Bacteria.
Bacteria is the right answer.
Bacteria.
Far. I mean, any criterion by which you judge the success of life, bacteria win hands down in terms of profusion, diversity, ability to live under extraordinary
Yeah, but
conditions.
nobody likes them, do they?
Well, we wouldn't be alive without them. We entirely depend upon them. If chicken had no bacteria, it would be completely tasteless. You would not taste anything. All that's true of almost all food.
Cheese, of course.
Bacteria. There's only a very small number of bacteria dangerous. If you were to take a gram of soil, there are 40,000 species of different bacteria in that 1 gram, let alone the amount there are. And each species is as different from each other as a rhinoceros is from a primrose. I mean, they're amazing things. I wanted to fall in love with the bacterium. They are just the most marvellous things conceivable.
Well, you've sold me.
They live in boiling acid. They live in ice. They live in nuclear cooling water. I mean, they can live absolutely anywhere under 6,000 atmospheres of pressure.
Where's their favourite place, though? Where do they really like to hang out?
Human tummy. They love the human tummy. We reckon 75% of the bacteria in the tummy have not yet really been identified as separate species. They're fantastic. But they do exist all over the place.
What about pygmies, though? Surely pygmies are more hardy, aren't they? They can live anywhere in the
There's a lot more comedy in them.
Pygmies can...
Bacteria.
Oh, bloody hell, to warm up on with bacteria, guys.
So why do you say that pygmies are...
Well, because you say successful, you're imbuing them with some sort of human
No,
characteristics.
I'm not. No, I mean successful in purely Darwinian terms.
There are lots of them.
Yeah.
Are they all invisible to the naked eye, or are there any kind of cat-sized?
No, they're all...
We like one as a pet, a big, hairy bacteria.
No, they look it under microscope, some of them, don't they? They have parthenogenic sex, as it were, amongst them,
What sort of
each
sex?
to the other. Virgin birth, you know? They divide and split and divide and
like amoebas.
reproduce their DNA, which is...
Yeah. How many amoebas does it take? There's a light bulb. 1, no, 2, no, 4, no, 8, no, 16, 32, 128, 250. Stop! Stop!
Very, 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 very good indeed. Well, we come to a sensitive subject now, ladies and gentlemen, bulges. Yes, the Latin for a bulge or protuberance is torus, which is not only the name for that sort of donut shape that they put particle accelerators in, but also the technical name for the fleshy part of an apple. And many people believe that the universe is shaped like a torus.
I thought the Taurus was the bull.
No, this is T-O-R rather than T-A-U. T-A-U is a bull, but T-O-R. It is a homophone. This is turning into the most appalling primary school nonsense. It was a charming mistake of a very... It's a homophone. They do sound the same. And they hate gay people. No, that's being said.
No, there's not hatred of gay people, it's fear of gay people.
Fear or hatred, phobias, yes, phobias, it is indeed, absolutely. The two are rather...
There is a phobia. If you go to www.phobias.com...
Yeah.
There are all the phobias listed. There is a phobia which is a phobia of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
You have to be very good at Greek to be able to give that a name.
They're all there, A to Z.
Yeah.
And the bloke who runs the website says at the top, a little disclaimer, I don't know how to cure any of these. I've just compiled a list. Yes, and they're all there.
Pagonophobia is the fear of beards.
Is it?
Yeah. Is the irrational fear of beards. I don't know whether that means you're actually frightened of people with beards, or you're actually just scared of giant beards.
Everything. There's fear of bees.
Yeah.
Fear of people is anthropophobia.
Anthropophobia, yes.
Fear of flowers is anthrophobia. They're different.
Yes. Well, anthophobia, actually, because as in anthology means a collection of flowers, in fact.
Does it?
Is perfectly. Anther, A-N-T-H-E-R is the Greek for flowers,
Can I have
polyanther. Yeah.
So,
Again, he's out.
Not
See, I
polyamorous.
thought I was doing well.
No, you're doing
and
terribly
he's just trumped me.
Illurophobia? What would you say that was?
The fear of being allured.
Cats.
Is it?
Yes.
Lechifophobia is the fear of not being able to find a receipt for a faulty item.
And of course, presumably every phobia has a philia, as it were, so you could apply the same thing to say a love of having peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth.
But I'd have thought just a little glass of water when you're actually eating the peanut butter sandwich would clear that problem.
Ever the practical woman, she's so right. You're so right.
There's a fortune to be made from that cure. Yeah.
Anyway, none of which has anything to do with the next question, which is, in the Battle of the Bulge, who were the stomach division?
The Germans.
They were a German division, a German...
a regiment of darts players.
They were a division.
Like that, yeah.
That was certainly a good
Jockey
description.
Wilson, Eric Bristow.
So we're clear on what the Battle of the Bulge was.
Battle of the Bulge, it's in Belgium, the Second World War.
Yes.
When the Allies were advancing and the Germans went for one big counter-offensive.
The last great country.
It was the largest land
quite
battle.
successful. It was so successful that they made a film about it.
It delayed the Americans. It was the largest
yeah.
infantry battle in American military history and the bloodiest.
Yes.
600,000 Americans were involved, which is more than the whole of the Battle of Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Let's face it, had Americans on both sides.
Yeah.
And
they
it was called the Bulge because...
Because the battle line was drawn out like that, and the bulge was the
That's right, the
advancing
German
army.
advance counterattack was made a bulge in the line. We're talking about very late 1944, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the Stalin's Red Army is pushing through through Poland and towards Germany. And there's so few men, there's so few German soldiers left after all this fighting,
Yes.
that they decide that they must use people who've got a sick note, but it's only for a very slight problem, like a little tummy bug. And so all the people who were off sick, who had stomach problems, were marshalled into a division of the 70th
all of them
infantry
felt a bit unwell.
of the Wehrmacht, called the stomach division.
They all had the
And they had to fight...
Well, yes, they, of course, displayed outstanding guts, you might say. But they were given their own latrines and their own special diet. And they...
and are given a wide berth by most of the other.
So they were called the Stomach Division because they were ill.
Yeah.
And they were called up at the last minute.
They were called up. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are various things like if you had a leg missing or very severe illnesses, you would be exempt. But they reckon that
a bit of windy pops.
The German
Get out there.
Exactly. Durchfall.
Get stuck in, son.
Durchfall is the rather good
Colic.
German word for diarrhea, which just means literally
Durchfall.
throughfall. Durchfall. Well, diarrhea means run through, for heaven's sake.
Was it
you're
purely
Greek.
just physical ailments, though? There was no other ailments?
No mad ones.
No ones, like when there was a terrible stutter in charge of the gunnery, you know. What?
But no, these were the stomach, rather idealistically
You know about
shot
that
here.
in the Special Olympics?
Yes.
You know, it's handicapped people's games.
Yeah.
And they allow people in...
Paralympics.
Paralympics, they call it. Yeah. They allow people in who are a bit mad as well.
Yes, yes.
And the Spanish basketball team, a few of them pretended to be mentally ill to get in.
I heard about that.
And they won the gold medal.
That's really good.
I mean, really, let that be on your conscience.
I know it's
And the opponents were going, hang on, he's not mad.
Yeah.
I'm mad, he's not mad. I'm going, I am mad.
So, you're right, it was the Wehrmacht's 70th Infantry. They were known as the Stomach Division. Due to indisposition, they were unable to attend the Battle of the Bulge itself.
Yes.
All 10,000 of them were mopped up by the Canadians. But what bulges up and down by about 30 centimetres twice a day?
Is it a fat pilot's ankles?
That's included in
Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Not well, actually, sort of expand that. The whole surface of the Earth.
The Earth's crust.
Yes, the whole Earth.
Is it?
Yeah. In the same, we know that the seas do, because of the
More than
tidal
a foot,
pull
though.
of the moon, but actually the Earth, too, is also pulled slightly. The actual physical
Can we
hard
clear
Earth.
up once and for all
Yeah.
how the moon makes the sea go in and out?
If you think...
He's just checks. He's like
Objects
some
in,
kid
objects in
wasted time
space are
class,
attracted
isn't
to
he?
each other at a ratio which is the inverse of the square of their distances, as Newton made clear in his... The
See,
moon...
that's too hard, you see.
So, all right.
Imagine you're talking to
All
a
right,
small
yes.
child.
I was.
You were in the
Imagine that the sea is made of iron filings and the moon is a magnet. Use another form of attraction.
Why is
other
the
than
moon a
gravity.
magnet?
Because it has a gravitational effect, which is a force like magnetism. It's
Surely
one of
the Earth
three
is stronger than the
forces.
moon. Why doesn't the moon get pulled into us?
Well, it is. It's in an orbit. It's entirely around us.
But it's
like that.
fighting
But
against
it still has a... You know, we have a massive effect on it. If it had water, obviously its tides would... You know,
Be a
it doesn't have
terrible
atmosphere.
state.
Yeah, but so as it's over each bit, it's literally pulling the seas. And they
sea.
bulge and you get the tides.
Does
and as
it pull
goes
the
round-
liquid in people, though?
To
We are,
some extent...
90% water, aren't we?
Yeah, there is an
Aren't
argument.
we going...
Yeah.
the whole time? Never mind all this. You've got Pisces rising in your sun.
No, you're absolutely right. No.
That's all just a distraction. The moon's making us go all the time.
It's not making us do that all the time, or we would have noticed, but in a very minor way.
Some people do that.
We behave a little bit like the Spanish basketball team because it's...
Have you ever heard of a thing called a book?
Yeah.
They're about that big, and you open them up at the front, right, and there's all the words. And
It's always good to learn, Sean. It's never good to mock people who are trying.
Hang on. When you say try...
No. We're still struggling under the letter B. We've had bacteria, we've had bulge.
Yes,
and
beavers.
We've had beaver. We've had a lot of beaver, but now...
And quite a lot of bollocks.
Yes, a great deal of bollocks. We now have a swift buzzer question for everyone, though. Fingers poised. Speaking of tidal bulges, how many moons does the Earth have?
2.
Oh, dear.
We did this last series.
Yes, but Alan, that was last year. There have been
like...
3 more discovered.
Oh, shut up.
It's true. I know it seems astonishing, but it's absolutely true. Do you remember last year?
Cruithne.
Well remembered. Cruithne is the spelling, exactly right, but supposedly pronounced Creenie or something like that. Well, Creenie was discovered in '97, and it has a weird sort of horseshoe sort of orbit, which doesn't quite complete. It bounces like that. Since then, there have been some more. They've got exciting names. Let me tell you their names. They're 2000 PH5. 2000 WN10 and 2002 AA29. Those are their names. Some people say they aren't really moons, but on the other hand, what else can you call them? They orbit the Earth and they are, to some extent, like moons. They're not visible to the human eye, however. So you could argue that there's 1 or that there's 5, but certainly not 2, I'm afraid.
Is there any evidence that people are a bit more bonkers when there's a full moon?
No. It's very interesting. There's been a lot of research about it, and there have been a lot of anecdotal evidence that at loony bins you have to lock them up on a full moon, but actually there's absolutely no clear evidence whatsoever that people behave oddly in a moon.
So why do I go out killing?
Nonsense. Good. So, there we are. It's certainly not 2 moons. Which brings us, appropriately, to the humiliating business of our general ignorance round, which is how we end our show. We ask over and over again the same question. What on earth did you go to school for? Fingers on buzzers, please, lady and gentlemen. Oh. How many points do you need to win a game of table tennis?
21.
No! Alany.
It is 21.
No, it isn't. I'm afraid the rules were changed. The rules were changed. I know it sounds absurd, but they were. The rules were changed last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's 11.
It's 11.
You knew, Anna,
so
you knew.
new.
It's 11.
So new.
11.
The rule was changed in July 2003.
When they discovered the other moon.
And, well, I'll let Alan get 5 points back if you can give me the reason. There were 2 things happened, essentially. They stopped it from being 21, they made 11. And not only that, they've actually increased the size of the ball by 2 millimetres. What is the reason for both those changes?
They made the ball larger
Yeah.
to make the game easier.
This is a question just for stupidity, just for Alan. To get 5 points back.
I can't.
There's one thing. What do you and I both feed like whores?
Pardon?
You and I, what do we earn
feed?
our daily crust from?
From the...
Feeding that cathode ray tube, the television.
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 The games are shorter.
It makes it 14% slower, more easy to
watch on the television.
That's right. And the games are shorter because human beings these days are just gibbering maniacs.
They really are.
Have to go and vomit up a pizza every 5 minutes so they can't have anything longer
How many
than
bacteria are there on a table tennis ball, for example?
many, I should think.
Because they must be hardy souls, mustn't they?
Well, it's certainly an interesting thing.
Whoa! So first to 11, then?
Yeah, anyway, so that's the reason. What they should really get rid of is that awful noise of trainers on the floors. Have you ever watched it on television? Squeak, squeak, squeak.
Drives me mental.
Yes, I knew. Well, that's right.
That's why I kill.
That's why you kill. That's why you kill. Now, as a first-timer on this show, Annie, we've got a question especially for you. You're touring in the vagina monologues, and I understand you're something of an expert in this interesting field. So tell me, how many vaginas does a kangaroo have?
There's a kangaroo there. You could...
hang
Not
on,
much hint there.
Are they vaginas on top of its head?
I would say 4.
Actually, I'll throw the kangaroo's vagina open.
None. No vaginas.
800. 801.
Anybody in the audience?
Three is the right answer. 3, we got there. It's a very extraordinary thing. It has... In case you're wondering, that's 2 up and 1 across in terms of configuration.
I know what happens when they give birth.
Yeah.
The baby crawls across the mother's body and goes in the pouch.
Yes, well, there are unborn fetuses that they're that. But the question is more interesting is that it actually has 2 wombs, the female kangaroo. And it gives birth to a baby, a joey, and if it doesn't survive...
It's called a joey,
yes,
mate.
A joey, yes.
Joey.
Yes, yeah, or joey in a bad Australian accent, whichever you like. If it doesn't survive the year... then that triggers the birth of another joey in the other womb, which comes out of the other vagina, the other uterus. And so it's like a backup.
And the third one's for luck.
The third one is completely not understood. There's only 2 wombs, but 3 vaginas.
Yes, and the male has 4 penises, so there's a lot of running going on.
No. How many penises does the male have?
17.
2. Yes. Well, 1 split into 2.
Like the devil's
Known as the hemipenis. Yeah. There's 2.
He's racking up
Yeah,
points
they
for the
taste
last
kangaroo.
round.
I've eaten kangaroo.
Yes.
They taste very much like wallaby.
Mine's a bit gamey.
Can I just also say...
A wallaby is someone who really wants to be a kangaroo, isn't it?
Can I just tell you, because it's quite interesting...
So, yes.
One thing I learnt during the vagina monologues is that the clitoris is the only organ in the male or female body that's designed purely for pleasure. It has no other use at all.
That's wonderful.
And it has 8,000 nerve endings, twice the number as in the penis.
No, the clitoris, isn't it for putting balancing pound coins on for parking?
That's either completely surreal or I've missed a verbal connection.
You know, those things on a spring. You press them and they ping back up.
Oh, right.
Is that called a clitoris?
Isn't it? Those little things you lick, you press down, they ping back up later on. Isn't that a clitoris?
No.
Oh, no.
2/3 of your answer was correct.
It's got no other use.
Entirely there for pleasure.
Just that's the only
It's a
thing. It's
wonderful
just there. The
Yeah.
decoration.
In my case, of course, that's true of the penis too. But from one kind of...
So, Stephen, what are you pissing through these days?
Don't you love pissing? I love to piss. From one kind of unusual birth to another. What was quite interesting about the birth of Julius Caesar? Yes.
He was a wolf. Somebody with a wolf. He was sucked out by a wolf.
I think it's an unfortunate sort of illusion of Romulus and Remus there, not Julius Caesar.
Right.
Romulus and Remus were said to have been suckled by wolves. Yes.
Caesarean section.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, dear, I'm afraid... Another cunningly laid trap you've fallen into, Mr. Bond. It's...
I felt that night happened, to be honest.
I know, it's sort of inevitability, a tragic
There's something
inevitability.
about that felt
No,
like...
the fact is that...
I'm a bit lemming-like, aren't I?
You're small and furry and attractive.
Stephen Wright said he was born by caesarean section. It doesn't really affect him, except when he goes into a room, he leaves by a window. Julius Caesar was born by caesarean section.
No, he was not.
Wait, what does it mean, then? Why is it caesarean section?
It's a corruption of the word cadere, meaning to cut. There was such a thing as what we call caesarean section in Roman times, but the mother always died. The only way they knew how to do it would always kill the mother.
Slash and grab.
Aurelia, who was Julius Caesar's mother, was known to have lived well into his adulthood, so he could not have been born by caesarean
So that's not
section.
the answer.
How was he born?
How was he born?
Oh, we don't know.
We're
Named
muddling
after
between
June.
ourselves.
We don't know anything
Oh,
particularly extraordinary about his features and birth. We just wanted Laughing Boy here to fall into the
Trick
trap.
question.
I'm afraid it worked. I'm sorry.
So it's just a purely trap.
It was purely a trap. I'm sorry about that.
They couldn't do the eyes, could they, the sculptors in them days?
No, they couldn't.
It's just rubbish.
No.
And they said, what do you think? And he went, that's...
They probably
They haven't even tried, have they?
coloured them in, though, you see.
They used to paint them.
Coloured them in. They're all painted. Quite right. They're all painted.
Do I get points for
Why
that?
wasn't that
Yes,
all
yes,
painted
you do,
then?
yeah.
Same with English churches, which are all clearly painted.
No, and then, of course, the White Cliffs of Dover as well. That was all coloured in at one time. A big jungle scene, out of giraffes.
Oh, dear.
What a massive great mural all around the south coast.
All the different peoples of the world holding hands.
All pointing at Westlife, drowning in the sea and going, yay! Do they used to do public drownings? Why don't they do it for people on death row, drown them?
You could ask for your last meal to be coconuts and you could form a raft and... I always think that, those bloody last meals, when they always ask the same thing.
Fish fingers and chips?
No, it's always cheeseburger, fries and a Coke, which we, non-criminals, refer to as a Happy Meal. But, I just don't understand why they don't ask for something like a stale baguette and a pineapple, right, and form a medieval mace and just sort of fight away.
That brings us rather attractively, I think, to our next question, because it's not unconnected. For what offences in the United Kingdom can you still theoretically be put to death?
Burning Her Majesty's ships in her port.
Oh, dear. Arson in the Royal Dockyards is not a capital offence, I'm afraid. No, so 20 away from you.
Oh.
Any other thoughts? Yes.
Puppetry in the Royal Dockyards.
Treason!
Oh, dear.
I don't believe it!
Like a heifer lugged into the honey trap. Well, there you are. There are no capital offences in the United Kingdom since 1999, when Mr Jack Straw signed a particular protocol, the 6th protocol, I think, of the European Declaration of Human Rights. Treason and piracy with violence and all those ceased to be capital offences in 1998, and the death penalty for arson in Her Majesty's Dockyards was quietly abolished in 1971. Lastly, a distinctly final note, ladies and gentlemen. What are dead bodies eaten by? Yes.
Oh, I nearly said worms. I bet that's...
No!
Maggots. You didn't say worms. I didn't say worms!
Worms came out of your mouth, if I can put it that way. So, but I don't think we should take away those points, because...
Maggot. Bacteria.
Bacteria!
Yay!
Quite right, our dear new best friends.
Death beavers.
Bacteria. They eat us all.
The beavers of death.
They've been in the living body all along, and they end up
Or cannibals. Cannibals eat dead bodies.
Yeah.
Assumptions.
Forgetful gravediggers.
not that
Lovely
often.
packed lunch. No.
Perhaps the most alarming place where bacteria hang out is in the kitchen. Chopping boards contain 3 times as many bacteria as lavatory seats, and dishcloths 1,000,000 times more than that, which is quite scary, isn't it? So there you are, there's your bacteria, who've been a theme for the week there. And there's just time to stroll into the Hall of Shame and see the final scores, which are, in reverse order, I think. Out in front with 7 points, Annika Rice. And just 1 point behind on 6 points is Bill Bailey. From a clear third equal on minus 18 points each, Sean Locke, Alan Davis. Well, that's all from Alan, Bill, Annika, Sean and me for this week. Please do write to us if you have got something quite interesting to add, but don't write to us pointing out that beavers could be mistaken for euphemisms. We never use euphemisms, and we think that people who do are complete front bottoms. Good night.
You won't want to miss it. More QI over on BBC4 right now. And visit the QI website at bbc.co.uk/QI to win unique prizes in the quite interesting quiz.